Okay, so no, what I'm saying is there's a cut in the middle of the episode that looks like we ran off and took a shit.
we
Now that I'm
might
thinking
have
about
ran
it.
off, we might have ran off and took a shit,
Yeah.
Shit
And that
happens.
wasn't the case at all.
No, it was my wife got home and the dogs went fucking nuts.
Yeah. That's what happened.
That's the dogs
Yeah.
went nuts, aka Dustin and Jordan had the diarrhea.
Yeah. I had it before the episode this time. Yeah.
The following episode of the Centerway Society has been rated S for spoilers. You have been warned.
Hello and welcome back to the Centerway Society, episode 3 of Ahsoka. And this week we actually have James joining us.
Oh yeah, I didn't know crap about the West Wing, but I know about Star Wars.
That's right. So we drafted you over here, I guess.
To the recast or the recast, fuck me. Reacts.
Whatever the fuck it's called. Yeah. And Jordan, as always.
Look, guys, I was so excited. I watched this episode twice.
I didn't watch the episode twice, but I watched like Star Wars theory and heavy spoilers like videos like heavily.
I will say, because like,
was it good?
Well, it was good, but I was gonna say, like, we finished up the episode. I'm like getting ready to go to sleep, and I just kept on getting texts from you. You're like, Star Wars theory, man.
He was doing a live stream and he was talking about things with like, his stream, and I was like, this is fucking dope. Let's see what if because he is not a part of Star Wars, but like he's as close as you get as a fan, and I'm sure he has some type of insider information, right?
Well,
so
yeah,
I was like,
definitely.
there's got to be something out there that he's gonna, maybe Disney has him spitting something out that a lot of not factual things, but hey, maybe this one's true, and he's just gonna say it type of thing. So I was like, you gotta stay current with the world events, and Star Wars theory is right up there with like CNN.
Yeah. What did you get out of that? Because I did
a lot of shit talking. A lot of shit talking about Rey. It was a lot of shit talking about Rey and how well, he also doesn't like the fact that like they're making Sabine a Jedi to a degree, but it was he was fine with the idea of her being a Jedi after it's explained that it's a talent-based thing and that the Force flows through everyone, and it's more about your discipline and focus to want to learn into the Force, but still has an issue if she becomes like an overpowered Force user, kind of like Rey, who just boom, she's the best Jedi ever.
I almost kind of disagree with that, man. Didn't I talk about this in the last episode? I didn't go back and re-listen to it. Did anybody else? I know I said this at some point.
I went back and listened to it. I went back and listened to it. What specifically are you talking about?
About her having Force powers and whether or not she actually has like the Force or any kind of affinity for it.
Right. Well, we were talking about that, and you were essentially saying the same thing. Like the Force flows through everyone, and it's does she have enough of the Force to do anything? Yeah, you did say that.
I'm glad that they basically confirmed that. This is basically Ahsoka saying the Force flows through every single living thing. So whether or not you can push things with your mind or you can change people's thoughts, it might just be a muscle. That's monumental for Star Wars if you think about it.
And the requirements of it is like talent. Anakin had the highest, I think, still to this day, midichlorian count, right? Higher than Yoda, higher than Windu, Palpatine, everybody. But his talent and discipline to learn the Force was far greater than anybody else too. So like when you put somebody that's kind of already like a step ahead with the midichlorian count and wanting to learn it and their talent into the Force, it makes them a good and master type of Jedi or Force user.
Yeah.
Like they go into it. Obi-Wan is not really a heavy Force guy. Like he's a lower count midichlorian as well, and he's not the best Force sensitive user in the world, but he trained and focused his time into getting better with it.
Right, which is exactly why he wins in the fight against Anakin, because
Exactly.
if it came down to, like, purely muscle and strength, he would have lost that fight all day.
No,
But
and there,
Obi-Wan is the more trained and, like vetted fighter,
right,
like
right.
yeah.
There's theory that when you go to the dark side, like Anakin did, he skips 2, 3, 4 steps.
Yeah.
That he would have otherwise learned if he would have stayed a Jedi and trained in the light side. So you get more power up front by skipping those steps to get to that point, but you're still missing all this detail that could help you out in the future. So where he went and got more power but skipped the fundamentals, Obi-Wan learned the fundamentals, and that's why he's more balanced.
He was punching up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the way I put it in my notes was, it's like she's trying to force the Force.
Oh, well,
so to
yes.
speak.
So,
Yeah.
To a certain extent.
Here's the thing, though. I don't think Sabine's trying to force the Force.
No,
I think Ahsoka is trying to force it to Sabine. But there's the dynamic that twist in this episode, which I told Dustin, I like when it happened, it's when she starts, instead of like trying to train her and trying to like push her into what she's doing, she's like, how do I help you? You tell me what helps you, and then they work together, and then that's how they get out of the situation. And that's what Ahsoka has to do as a trainer, as a master, quote unquote, to train her apprentice. You know,
that's literally what she said. As soon as she went and got on the gunner and Hu Yang. I'm gonna fuck up his name.
No, it's Hu Yang. It's Hu Yang.
Hu Yang. Okay. Yeah. He's like, she needs your help. You literally said she's gonna stop trying to teach her and she's gonna work with her.
Yep.
And then she's like, what do you need? Yeah.
And it worked. What can I do for you? And she's like, I need you to do this. Okay. And then she's like, oh, I'm a mark. And it's like, this is harmony.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was such a one thing I honestly, after thinking about episodes 1 and 2, and then this episode, this is my favorite episode out of the 3 so far. 1 and 2 are not bad episodes by any means. They're still fantastic. They're, in my opinion, like 9s, 9.3s. This, to me, I was worried originally about how the pacing was going to be of it, for being it's supposed to be the shortest episode, I believe, of the entire series, 34 or 35 minutes, whatever it was. I was like, oh, it's kind of short, you know, but they paced it so perfectly. They didn't give you any filler. If you want to call the conversations and stuff that they did filler, think about the conversations. They confirm something that's never been on screen before about the Force flowing kind of through everyone, because George Lucas has said it off screen 1,000 times. And it's never been like a confirmed thing.
Yeah.
And it's confirmed. So their filler conversation is still like integral to like the story. Like, you have to have this moment for it to make sense in the future when Sabine either becomes a Jedi or doesn't become a Jedi or a Force sensitive user.
Well, it's not even just their conversation. Like, there's other conversations in the show too that did it. Like, for me, like, I have a feeling that Senator, I forgot his name already, Zioa, I think was the
the one that's like Thrawn's not back.
Yeah, I feel like he's working with the Empire.
Oh, it seems like it.
Just the way he was.
Yeah.
Well, and it could just be what happens every fucking time. The senators and politicians, everybody that gets, up into that area after a war in Star Wars, they all get lazy. They forget about some of the bad because they're in a different position now. And then they get arrogant of, this can't happen to us. And then like 2 minutes later, it happens to them, and the whole world is back into a fucking war again, or galaxy in this situation.
Yeah, like, I understand that you're in between a rock and a hard place in this situation where you're trying not to just imprison anybody and everybody who had anything to do with the Empire, because that was most of the galaxy, right?
Right.
So I understand that you gotta kind of try and work with these people and everything, but it's so amazing that in that moment that they're like, no, but they told us that they like us now. And that makes sense to them.
Like they said they like us.
Yeah.
They invited us to their luncheon.
They had our cookies.
Yeah. It made zero sense. And then the fact that I loved the line that Harris said, it was like, screaming for the Empire didn't seem very Republic of them.
Doesn't it remind you of that moment in 21 Jump Street when he's like, bro, we shared Taco Bell together?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, what does that fucking mean?
It's like, who cares?
Yeah.
And I will say there's an interesting part, and this is the only thing that upset me. Not really upset me. I think this episode, like I said, the pacing, the time for it was perfect after the two, what I'm going to call the introductory episodes to what this show was supposed to become, which is episode 1 and 2. So they did a lot of good of introducing, kind of getting you an idea of where the story is going to be leading to. This episode did everything an episode needs to do, and then it left you wanting more immediately as it ended. Because like when Balin came up and he's like, go find them, and he's sitting there, and then they like start to pan up. I'm like, please don't end here, please don't end here, please don't end here. And then it did, and I was like, fuck. I was like, God, I want some more of this, because like that episode did everything that most of the like Disney Plus TV shows that are shorter, that episode usually is ass. This one is like, dude, everything about it, the writing, the acting, the directing, the dialogue in it, the fighting, the Ahsoka being on the ship, not using the force, slide that Carrie Fisher's, Leia did back to
I
the
was
ship.
waiting for that.
I know. They don't do it. What happens? They turn the plane to get her foot back down so she can run down.
Yeah.
Come on, like all of the detail in this episode was good, and they kept it paced perfectly. But Balin at the end, when I don't know if either of you guys saw this, but when he said for them to go hunt Ahsoka and Sabine, sorry, excuse me, there was a lot of conflict. If you look at his face, like he's like,
I see where you're going with this.
I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Which leads to when I was watching Star Wars Theory last night, and James, you can chime in on this too and tell me what you think. But a lot of his theory, Star Wars Theory guy, and a lot of people are thinking that maybe Balin was Plu's apprentice.
Plo Koon.
Sorry. Plo Koon's apprentice. Which would be interesting because one, he did wield a orange lightsaber at one point. Now, Dustin has brought up the point to me privately that the user's lightsaber doesn't really they don't follow their master's lightsaber necessarily. It doesn't have an influence on the apprentice. But also that he is the one who found Ahsoka. So
yeah,
that's why there might be some tie, like he has a respect to his master, because he's still everything Balin is as a whatever you want to call him, dark Jedi, diet Sith, whatever you want to call him. He has respect to the Jedi still to some degree. Or why else would he have an apprentice that he's training in kind of a Padawan way, right? It's what he knows, but he could train any other way. He could choose his own way to train, but he's still kind of doing it in the shadow of what the Jedi were.
Now, the more I hear this, the more I'm buying into it. I still don't think the lightsaber color has anything to do with anything, because there's never been a history of like a master and an apprentice like always having the same color. But anyway,
right,
that could just be something that they're giving us visually. You see the orange lightsaber and you're like, that's not very common. You get Ahsoka on the wing of the starfighter, and that's like harkening back to like when Plo Koon is fighting outside of his ship and stuff. But then you get almost the most Star Warsy thing of Star Wars things ever, where it's doing the parallels again. Like the episodes are mirroring other things. Now we have a lineage of master and apprentice fighting each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have like Plo Koon's original apprentice, and then you have Ahsoka, over here fighting her own battles, and then fighting, her master's student. So you have like Obi-Wan fighting Dooku,
right?
Like all over again.
Yep. Which funny you bring up Obi-Wan, because a lot of people are believing that Balin's character is based off of there was a game that was Battlefront 3 and 4 that were scrapped, but there were character developments in them to be like different different type of characters, and there was a dark Obi-Wan. I think it was heavy spoilers that showed it, but I think it's a lot of like I think Dave Filoni saw it and was like, I want to base a character around this. Because if you look at like the dark Obi-Wan like character design, kind of looks like, not obviously it's Obi-Wan, but like the build and like what what he's wearing and all this stuff and the darkness, it looks kind of like Balin. So, you know, I think they, like, I talked about this in when we did the episode 1 and 2 react, like that he's like a Count Dooku, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan type character who's like, you know, if they would have went off the path of the Jedi but did their own thing without any like influence from the dark side, that's what Balin to me seems like.
Yeah, I could see that. It would be. I like the idea that he considers himself to be like the better Jedi, if that makes sense. Almost kind of like Qui-Gon did, where he was a part of the council. He, you know, believed in the Jedi way, but he did not believe in the council and the established Jedi order, and he wanted to do his own thing. Right. Like I could see him going off on a path like this. Maybe not quite as dark. Like I don't really see him like murdering people indiscriminately. But
like not going full mercenary.
Yeah.
Going full Anakin.
Yeah. So back, I want to back up a little bit and go back into the orange lightsaber. So I watched a theory, and I want to say it was back on Star Wars Day. This is the theory I brought up that one time. But the orange lightsaber seems to be what the theory is that it's a crystal that has not been bled completely. So it's not being taken over the dark side fully. So like the way that you get the red lightsaber is, say I got the blue crystal back here behind me. I take it, I do something monstrous, I fully turn myself over to the dark side, and then it bleeds the crystal, turns it red.
Right.
Now,
you have to corrupt it. Yeah.
And that's almost not even like a theory at this point, because we do know that Dave Filoni came out and said that very specifically that this wasn't supposed to be like a Sith red. It was supposed to be close, and that was very purposeful. And we know from the Ahsoka novel, which I know you just read, James.
Yeah, that was a good book.
That when somebody comes into contact with like specifically like a red lightsaber, and they
purify it.
Yeah, like using the light side of the Force will change the color.
That's why Ahsoka's lightsabers are white.
Right. But they're blue in this because Anakin gave her blue ones after the white ones were destroyed. Yeah.
Now, I think, and I want to say it now because it's episode 3, and we have 5 more to go. Does anybody else get the feeling that Shin's going to completely betray Balin at some point, or that either Balin's not going to commit all the way, and then Shin's going to be like, well, "Fuck you"? Because she's so much more. Character. She's so much. I love her character, but she's dark and aggressive, where Balin's more reserved.
And I think that's where I might not agree with her characters, because she just seems like she's full on ready to turn. Like she's ready to go to the dark side almost. And it just seems like she's trying to be more Anakin to Obi-Wan than.
Yeah. Who do you think she is? Because I've heard a couple theories where people are saying that this is possibly Balin's actual daughter.
Really?
Yeah, you haven't heard that one?
I have not heard that one.
Right, because she would have been born too late to have been a Padawan at the temple, is what they're saying. Like, at least before Order 66 and stuff.
Why would she have a different last name then?
I don't know.
Because she's a Mandalorian. And they have different last names.
She's part of, like, clan whatever the fuck. Yeah. You know?
Clan Hati.
I don't know.
Was it Hati?
Yeah, Shin Hati. Okay,
Shin Hati and Balin's skull.
If we're entertaining this, right?
Yeah.
Maybe he had a relationship secretly.
Oh, and that's what got maybe he got kicked out of the Jedi Order.
maybe Hati is like the name of her mother, and like she kept the mother's name or something, and
that's what I was thinking. Maybe that's the reason he left. Like he pulled an Ahsoka and was like in peace.
I mean,
I don't know.
There's been other Jedi though, a part of the council that have had kids though, right? Like secretively.
Well, there's people that have had kids while on the council.
Yeah.
Like
Yoda.
Kiadi Mundi had multiple.
Did you say Yoda?
I said Yoda.
Not confirmed.
But Kiadi Mundi had multiple wives and multiple children. Like having wives and children is not a problem. As long as you are a shitty dad, the council does not matter.
Yeah, we don't want you to be involved with these kids or anything.
Yeah, as long as you don't give a shit about them, you can have many kids.
So what you're saying is Anakin did it right then. He did it the way the council would want.
No, he did it wrong. He was like, I love my wife. And they were like, that is an attachment.
No. Because he never actually gets to like be with his kids. He's kind
originally
of a father,
he did it wrong, but then he did it right, so to speak. that could explain a little bit.
The Jedi Order's way was like, you kind of have to be like kind of on the dark side to have kids. Get rid of them.
and then like going back to the conflict on Balin's face. Yeah, that could be one of the reasons too. Is he left the Jedi Order, but he still loves like the Jedi, so to speak. Right? He doesn't want to send somebody after Ahsoka to take her out.
I think it's going to be a reveal that they're both, there has to be a connection either there or, more importantly, with Merrick. There's got to be some connection. Don't say he's definitely, because nobody knows.
No, there's got to be a crazy reveal on that. And I got a theory. That's my key theory that I was talking about in the group message.
It may not be a key theory because I'm pretty sure me and Dustin have just like talked every theory about who that could be.
Star Killer?
Yes. Yeah.
Because of his name?
Yeah. Well, not because of his name, because once again, the connection there would be he's Darth Vader's secret apprentice. And then who was the apprentice of Anakin? Ahsoka. There's the connection again.
But James is saying Galen Merrick.
And then Merrick, yeah.
So I mean, it just makes perfect sense.
If they did it just because of the name, they named him Merrick from that. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. But
it's like Merrick, but it's slightly different.
Yeah. So
they spelled it differently, so it's different.
I can't remember his name, but first I saw the other day that the guy who
you're probably thinking Sam Witwer.
Yeah, I saw that he's
additional
on the cast
voices.
Somewhere. Yeah,
additional voices is what they have him listed right now.
I'm hoping his additional voices will either be Star Killer or Darth Maul.
Well, okay,
Jordan did it. Hold on, Darth Maul's dead at this point, right?
He is dead at that point.
Yeah, but flashbacks.
Yeah, well, yeah, he might be able to do a flashback or something.
Okay, but Jordan had a good thought too. He might be the voice of Merrick.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Because the voice changer, like whatever the mask is making him, he doesn't talk very much, or she, or he, or whatever. But they, yeah,
we'll go with they for now.
Yeah. So why don't we get into that? Like who it could be? Because it could possibly be Galen
There's
Merrick.
really only 4 people that I would like 100% entertain. It's going to be, or it's none of those, and we're just getting hyped about a new character again. And that
would be fine.
Which would be
That's fine. Yeah.
Yep.
I think thematically the most likely, in my opinion, after watching Clone Wars and Rebels and all that, I think Barriss O'Free makes the most sense.
And that would also still be a connection to Ahsoka, correct?
Right. Okay.
Because she's the one who framed.
Right. She is disgruntled with the Jedi Order. She ends up bombing a temple and framing Ahsoka for it. Nobody believes her, and this is the reason why Anakin falls to the dark side, because he's disgruntled with the council for condemning his apprentice, and even after they find out that she had nothing to do with it, she's still just like, you know what, fuck y'all. Like, I'm leaving.
She's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't listen to her at all.
So that would have a connection to it. There's I think this series we're going to find out about relationships more. I think it has a lot to do with relationships. Mara Jade is one that I brought up that could possibly be it, and I think that would be the dopest thing in the world.
That would be a very good future event reveal. Yeah. Right? We get Mara Jade showing up, and she's brainwashed by Palpatine, who we realize somehow returned.
Somehow he returned.
Yeah.
Then there's the one that everybody wants it to be, which is Ezra Bridger.
which doesn't
That
make any
just
sense.
It doesn't make any no.
he's-
Well. So you know what?
I like the idea
What-
that he's possibly brainwashed, but at the same time, he
Yeah.
could be working from the inside.
Right. So there, I can't remember if it was Star Wars Theory video or the heavy spoilers one, but with the Purgle, right?
Yeah.
They're unpredictable. So it could be said that he and Thrawn went to the same place, but maybe he got back with a Purgle and came and found a way back.
Because he
Type
does
of
have
thing.
that connection with Beast.
With Beast?
Beasts.
Beast. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Like the wolves and like
Exactly.
The wolves,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And then think about Merrick. The lore behind Merrick, the what is it? They get turned into the wolf, and then the only way that they can get they can go back to the human form is if they find their clothes and all that.
There is another Arthurian way to put that in. I don't remember. I don't know if y'all. I just got into it, but the person, Arthur's sister, who's like the witch.
Sir Merrick is what you're.
Yeah. Well, no, the Arthur sister who's like the witch, and the whole story.
Morgan Le Fay.
Yeah, Morgana. So it all like goes back to that. So I can see it.
Yeah. So that's one, but I still think like they would have to be able to explain. They can't do the somehow he returned, right? They have to go into detail and explain it. But one way would be he maybe, or even while him and Thrawn were, being displaced and traveling with the Purgle, maybe somehow his went off to another area and then he was able to get himself back or something like that.
You want to hear something wild? I just thought about this. I'm going to throw this out here. I do not think this is real, but I'm just going to throw it out here.
Sure.
Okay. When they're in the world between worlds and stuff, right?
Mhm.
Ezra saves Ahsoka from dying in the fight against Darth Vader, right?
Mhm.
And I'm under the impression, if I remember this correctly, Ahsoka stays in there for a little while longer.
Yeah, he ends up leaving. She stays in.
Right. And we never know what happens there, but we see her like stumbling out of the temple like after the fight with Darth Vader. And we know that she lived and then she comes back into the picture like a season later or something, right?
Yeah.
But she stayed inside of the world between worlds for just slightly longer. Now we know that Ezra goes missing for an amount of time and she doesn't really seem very concerned with going to find him until this series happens. Why isn't she more adamant about going to find Ezra? If maybe she pulled him out, like saved him from the fate with Thrawn and he's not actually trapped.
Maybe.
But Ahsoka, if she's living, if she's like if she's standing by what she said and changing the future is not something you should do, she's not going out and telling people she did it. So
Right.
she's just letting history play out.
Well, not only that, but at the same time, like I don't think anybody other than Ezra really knew that he pulled Ahsoka. Well, I mean,
Right.
never mind that. Yeah, so she could have done it. The same thing, because I mean, technically, he's not showing up after anything. He shouldn't be in the timeline. So she could have done it and not affected anything.
I don't know. I don't think
maybe.
that's what happened, but I think it's a possibility.
Yep. And then last but not least, when it comes to who Merrick is also possibly Galen Merrick.
Right, right.
Yep. Those are, to me, the four most obvious of who it could be, or
just a completely
brand new character that we're all like, there's a reason they're heading. They have to be a new character. They have to be a character. They have to be a character that we know and love, and it's going to be a big reveal.
They have that Scooby-Doo moment where they reveal, and they're like, "Who the fuck is that?"
Do you ever think that like Marvel, DC, Star Wars, Disney, whoever, that like when people are reviewing and like reacting to these episodes, do you ever think they have people watching and they're like, fuck man, a lot of people are going to be disappointed when this is
definitely
like everybody right now with who Merrick is, and it's like they're like, we're just you guys a cool character.
Definitely, that like something like this happens, they're watching like a stream like, oh man, they did enjoy that, that's cool, and then they bring up a theory and they're like, fuck man, that was awesome. We should have
Dave Filoni's in the background like, do we have time for reshoots, sir? The episode
I was
coming
thinking,
out.
do you think they could have like stuff on the floor, like cutting room floor, like, oh, they like this one, so we'll use this one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
like
that'd be cool.
This is what's going to be revealed in episode 6. So
Yeah. I know this isn't exactly what we're getting at, but like I remember hearing an interview where he was talking, George R. R. Martin was talking about like this same exact situation. And he's like, you wrote a book, it took you like 5-6 years to get through it, right? And then you're looking on forums or you're hearing somebody talk about your shit, and they realized your twist that you're setting up for like 2 books later. And he's like, you gotta commit.
Yeah.
Even if that person, did your thing, you can't backtrack and try and like turn it into something else, or it's not going to feel genuine anymore.
Right.
Sort of like the last season.
That's why that went south. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Trying to think. So the hyperspace ring, is a ship going to attach to it or no? What do you think?
I've heard everything on this one, man.
I wonder if it's like a slingshot.
I've heard Purgle's supposed to go into it and then it attaches to it and they just go. I've heard a ship's supposed to dock into it. I've heard it's supposed to be just a thing by itself to go. It's like
amazing. You think the Purgle flies up and it just fits on it like a belt.
Yeah. Yeah. And just like takes it with you.
Yeah. I guess. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Dude, speaking of the Purgle, we got Purgle.
Yeah. They did really
I wasn't
cool
expecting
too.
that.
Yeah. Not to mention that when Merrick sees the Purgle, he or they, because we don't know if it's he or not, or she, they go. Did y'all notice that?
Yeah.
Almost like they've had a run-in before with Purgle.
What do you think that means?
Could be Ezra Bridger.
Like maybe his brainwash is starting to clear up a little bit.
Well, no, not that. Well, he could be brainwashed by a witch. In this case, Morgan Elsbeth. But he could also still remember that he did get taken by a Purgle with Thrawn. Like she wouldn't brainwash that part out of him. Why would she, right? Also, why are we saying brainwash? I feel like she just has a spell over him, or like a curse or something.
Yeah, some Night Sister.
Yeah, magic, a little Dathomir magic,
Got that Star Wars voodoo.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are you guys as excited as I am for? Think about this. When did the first episode 4 come out? Was it 78 or 79?
The very first one, 77.
77, sorry. 77, okay. So that means Star Wars has been around for approximately what?
53 years? 50? No, hold on. 57?
I don't think your math is mathing.
No, it's in the 40s, I think.
Yeah, it would have to be
so
if you've got
hold on. Yeah,
23
40.
would take you to the 2000s. 46.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was trying to
added
Tony's mom's age.
Yeah, you added 10. Okay, so 46 years.
Yeah.
46 years of this, and for live action at least. We've never been to another galaxy, have we?
No.
And that's where we're headed. That's where we're headed. A new galaxy, which we don't know we don't know what's going to be there. Could there be a whole different like style of Jedi and Force users? Could there be like witches, like legit witches and sorcerers? Like think about all the possibilities of this new galaxy now. Does that upset you or does that make you happy as a fan? Because I'm stoked about it.
I really don't know what that means, honestly. I know that Thrawn, his big motivation is protecting his people from this invading force. I forget what they're called, man. There's some alien race that he's scared of. And I believe they even bring them up in Andor, which is kind of odd. But it seems like you would want to kind of protect your galaxy from this other invading threat.
Or and maybe Thrawn's been in this other galaxy and he's forming a threat to come back to the galaxy.
True.
Oh, because if you look at the shots of like the trailer stuff, at least he seems like he's on a ship, right?
I believe he's on the Eye of Soul or what is it called? The Eye of Sion.
Ion Sion, yeah.
Yeah, because it's kind of like a little nod to like a Scion is like an heir, so like heir to the Empire.
Is an heir. It's there was a few other meanings for it too. When I was watching, it was the not Star Wars theory, but heavy spoilers guy. There was like a few different things it could mean, but heir was one of them.
But they thought it also could be a reference to Darth Sion,
Yeah, exactly.
I remember that was one of them. Yeah. That would be nice to the Old Republic ship. Cool. Yeah.
Yep. I'm trying to think, man. One thing that I thought was really cool is Hugh Yang's character. The opening scene of this was pretty dope. I don't know about you guys, but
where he's training
training her, right? And then he reveals like, yeah, you did okay, but like then you see all the misses and stuff and the missed times and wrong things she hit, and you're like, God, you really suck, Sabine.
But does she suck though? You know?
Well.
I
Hu
mean, she's
Yang
got a
says
hole in her
yes.
stomach, so
Hu Yang says yes. And repeatedly says yes. And then Ahsoka's like, you really fucking said that to her? And he's like, it's the truth. I don't lie.
This kind of reminds me of like in Marvel where you have somebody like like Hawkeye, Black Widow and stuff, and they're fighting with all these superpowered individuals. And they really are kind of the weakling on the team. But by normal standards, they are fucking amazing.
Yeah, by people that don't do this stuff and they're on their couch watching TV and their buildings getting destroyed. Yeah, they cannot live up to a Hawkeye or a Black Widow.
Right. You have essentially a normal person that can't see the future and move things with their minds using a blade that can cut through essentially anything and not killing themselves.
Also, that's something I have issues with too, by the way. I think the lore on lightsabers and what they can cut through and not cut through is a problem for me now.
I saw something on this, and I think I kind of like the theory that it's got like a setting where you can adjust
like a low, medium, high, ultra.
Like Jedis aren't using it on like high
right
when it comes to fighting, because they're really just kind of protecting themselves, but they are turning it up to cut through shit.
I've seen that theory too. This isn't what I'm talking about though. My issue is, think about episode 1. They're cutting through the door. It takes them like a long time, right? Like I know that they have
it slowly.
Yeah, like super slow. But think about the very beginning of Ahsoka. She puts those 2 in the ground, uses the Force, and they just go, and then she's done. And it was like nothing.
Well, it's probably like the difference between like space titanium and concrete.
But this is everything with Star Wars.
Yeah.
No, I want to just get at that.
And that very basis.
And the same exact scene, right? The droidekas rolled up and they're like, fuck, get him, right? And they start shooting. And then Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon just fly out of there like the fucking Flash, right?
Yeah.
That has never happened in Star Wars again. Nobody uses like Force dashes.
There's a theory before that too, which is and you probably heard it before, but that the prequel Jedi, once the Order 66 goes out, most of the Jedi are killed. The Jedi, obviously temple is destroyed. It's not really being taught anymore. Is that those Jedi were trained differently than what we get in the future? Like Luke can't do any of that shit because he didn't know he was being trained by a very old Yoda and a very old Obi-Wan.
So you're saying it's like a lost start.
They can't do that anymore, right? Yeah, because think about Yoda. Yoda could do all the crazy hops and everything like that. That was like, whoa, what the fuck? Luke doesn't do that shit. He's very much he's a blue collar Jedi. He's a working man's Jedi.
Yeah, no real technique. He like when he attacks straight on.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the theories about the color of the lightsabers and stuff too. Like originally, the blue ones were for more of somebody who's more onto the physical side, while the green was somebody who's like more of a scholar.
Yeah, like mind over like bronze and mind,
like a Force user.
So if you look, Obi-Wan's got the blue lightsaber. He's all about going into attack mode in episode 1, but in Qui-Gon's got the green lightsaber. He's more about how do I take this and change it.
Yeah.
How can I use this to my advantage?
Yeah.
True.
I still love that purple was reserved. Like that fucking Samuel L. Jackson is such a iconic person that he just goes and he's like, "What about purple? Can I get purple?" And then like George Lucas is like, "Yeah." And then they come up with like, "Well,
the coolest theory.
He's light side, but he just draws a little bit from the dark side."
I honestly do not know this. Who had it first? Was it Mace Windu or was it Darth Revan?
It was Mace Windu, because they've got like a clip of him talking with George, and he's like, you could get like blue or green. He's like, "What can I have purple?
Yeah,
can I have purple?" And George's like, we'll see what we can do. The next thing you know, he's got purple.
He says no one's ever had that color before, but
yeah,
we can do it for you. So in timeline, Darth Revan would technically have the first
right
purple lightsaber,
chronologically. I understand that,
but the first
yeah.
actual person, the first person to get a purple lightsaber, and then it go back in lore would be Mace Windu, Samuel L. Jackson.
I remember the story behind that game was that they came to the studio and asked them, would you rather do something set in the prequel era, or do you want to do something so far back it doesn't have any basis in anything? And you guys can kind of work freely. And they were like, well, fucking 2,000 years ago. Why not? Right.
Right.
So I know that's why they went with that decision. And that was set around it was around the time they were making the prequels, but I just didn't know which one came first, I guess.
Right. I would say it should have been Mace Windu.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that makes the most sense.
They've got that. Yeah. I mean, they got the clip.
They do. Where George Lucas is like, well, there's never been a purple lightsaber before, but why not? Right?
Like, it's really blue or green. I mean,
yeah.
Blue or green.
Now you got blue,
yeah,
green, orange,
he's literally
white.
It's like blue or green for good guys, red for bad guys, and then he's like, what about purple? Well, we can figure it out.
I was watching and I didn't realize how new orange was.
Technically not really new.
Well, I mean, so let's put it this way. I own every crystal for the lightsaber from Disney. Every color. But they do not sell an orange one yet.
It's very rare, even in the lore, man. Like I want to say there's three users of orange specifically.
There's the guy in Fallen Order.
Yeah, Cal Kestis uses it.
Yeah, and then there's the
one now we have Balin and Shin.
So we got there's
I wouldn't call that
too.
orange, or at least like the same orange, but go ahead. Yeah.
It's not the same orange, but it has been said that his lightsaber is a orange based type thing.
Okay. And then I don't know the guy's name and I haven't played the game yet, so don't sue me. But there's a character in the new game, not Fallen Order, but the next. What's it called?
Survivor?
Yeah, he meets up with this guy and the guy's talking about how he's been locked away, all this other stuff. And then he starts messing with the lightsaber, building it with the Force. And then all of a sudden it's revealed that his crystal is orange. And he turns around and starts trying to attack Cal.
Gotcha. Well, I know Yaddle and Plo Koon were two. So maybe orange is getting a little bit more popular.
Yeah.
Well, Legends is technically Plo Koon has never had it in canon, if I remember correctly, but he's had it in Legends.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of Legends and books and stuff,
at
the end of this episode, I had a thought. So we haven't been bringing like Dustin got us into Heir of the Empire, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I listened to that book and I mean I loved it. I'm still kind of off and on listening to 2. But what if them landing in the forest parallels Luke and Mara?
What do you mean?
Like, what if we have like a thing where they're having to go through the forest and work together as a team, like Luke and them did?
Yeah.
Like, because we've been talking about how it parallels and stuff. What if they're going to use this as the way to go through this forest? They have to come out a certain spot. I mean, they have people being sent in after them, but instead of Thrawn, it's Balin sending them in. So they kind of had to land in the forest. They didn't crash into the forest, but now they got to figure their way out.
I guess it's essentially the same thing because it's been a while, but this is the planet where Thrawn was constructing his fleet and stuff.
Yeah,
and
he went to the pirates and was trying to get them to get him some new ships.
Right, and he was doing the stuff with the cloaking devices and stuff. I don't want to ruin nothing. Okay, cool.
Did y'all also notice that the scene when they were when Shin and Merrick were going after Ahsoka and Sabine in space, right near the hyperspace ring? Did you happen to notice the headsets that Shin was wearing?
Galactic era stuff. Yeah.
So it was same one Obi-Wan wears, which is and it's a big theory that like Balin, the way he escaped Order 66 was because of the technology, and that's why he still has a lot of the same gear from that era. Yeah. I thought it was cool because I noticed it last night and I was like, that looks so familiar.
Very cool.
And then when I was like looking stuff up today, I was like, right.
Yeah. So I also have something that I want to kind of address too.
Address it.
All right. So I've been noticing this all week when we're discussing Ahsoka and stuff. I've noticed a lot of people, especially people close to us, saying that they're kind of disgruntled by the fact that they they deeply rooted all this in the lore and they're being left out of stuff. Have y'all noticed that as well, or is it just me?
I have not.
Yeah,
but
I'm
I
gonna
also haven't had the conversations with said person that you have had.
Well, even Rob was posting that article.
I don't think he was
about
posting it as a way to be like, this is how I feel about it, and this is kind of lame. And I think he just posted it to be like,
I looked at a
hey,
lot of
this
their
is out
articles,
there
too.
in the world. What do you
Yeah.
guys think?
Yeah, I looked at a
But-
lot of their articles too, and I wasn't a fan of their
But
writers or anything.
Here we
either.
go. If people want to get into that, yes, there's always going to be to some degree Clone Wars and Rebels information that you could have watched, that you had the opportunity to watch before this came out. You chose to not watch it. I didn't finish Rebels. I finished Clone Wars. I didn't finish Rebels. But that being said, yes, there was a couple small things nodded to from Rebels that you pointed out to me, Dustin. Episode 3. We're getting a ton of new information that has never been in Star Wars lore before.
right.
And tell me, besides the scene where Ahsoka is out on the ship, now granted in Rebels and Clone War, like I know it happened in Clone Wars, I know it happens in Rebels that she's out, in space fighting. Nobody has ever taken down a ship with a lightsaber all on a plane or on a ship outside, but it's happened before.
Somebody
Like,
fighting outside.
Somebody fighting outside of the ship in space.
Plo
It's
Koon,
happened.
specifically. Yeah.
Exactly. So sure, there's going to be nods, but is it detrimental to this story?
Well, see, I think that's one of the things about this that I don't feel like people really understand is that we're starting at a point in the story. Yes, it happens in between a time skip in Rebels and stuff, right? But so much new information is happening that it feels like you're starting in the middle of a story, but no, really everything is unfolding
In front of you.
on this show and it's brand new
Yeah.
information. You almost have to be deeply invested in every bit of Star Wars to understand how little you're supposed to know about what's going on right now.
Yeah.
This is all brand new shit to me.
There's a lot of brand new stuff.
I'm not like a Star Wars scholar by any means. Like there's
You're
a lot of stuff.
You're as close as it gets for us, for our
you're
little
like our
group.
ringer.
Yeah.
For this group, I would say I know more than the average person, right? But like all this stuff that's happening is brand new shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this is a great series to dive into.
It's a funny thing because they keep bringing up that, at some point Ahsoka trains Sabine to become a Jedi and be, force sensitive and all this stuff. It appears that it was too hard or she failed. But that's one big thing I've seen online where everybody's like, when did she do this?
Yeah, it's
exactly.
not a thing.
Yeah, it's like almost like they're retconning to a degree that, oh yeah, in her free time when they were doing other stuff, like they were trying to train her and it just didn't work out. And it's like, go watch Rebels and stuff. It didn't actually, like, there's no like attempt to legitimately train her to be a Force user or a Jedi.
Yeah, Kanan just kind of teaches her how to use the darksaber.
Right.
He doesn't teach her how all the ways of the Force and stuff.
Right, because that is the thing that a Mandalorian needs to lead their people. And if she is not trained in how to use the lightsaber, she's going to lose it at some point.
Yep.
So he very much needs her to be proficient in using a lightsaber. So yeah, he helps
the darksaber.
her. Right. And that's kind of a different beast altogether.
Yeah.
Yep.
So no, I haven't seen a lot of people that are like, you have to have seen all the other content of Star Wars ever for this to make sense. There are nods, but nods are fine. There's nods in everything, man.
Right. Like if you want to get into how like this isn't a standalone story, it's like that article specifically brought up like Rogue One. And it's like Rogue One is the second half to a story where a novel came out like a month before it came out. And it's literally taking place like
It goes
13 hours to a book.
Yeah.
You know?
And it
That
literally goes right into episode 1 or episode 4.
exactly.
So
like it's
like
deeply
everything is
rooted in
connected.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't have to go and read that book to know where you're at.
Right.
The way-
And if you want to get into the Thrawn stuff, there's a grand total of 9 books directly dealing with his story. Rebels, like
Yeah.
an entire, like how many seasons of that?
I think he was in like 3 or 4.
Right. But all you essentially need to know is that he is trapped somewhere and they're trying to find him. And he's super smart dude.
Yeah, it's the exact same as the ending for Force Awakens. Luke Skywalker's trapped somewhere or off somewhere. You need a secret map to get to him, and he's a really smart dude.
Right. They show up and then he's going to throw the lightsaber and then go drink some space
2
milk.
horrible movies.
Most disappointing scene of a movie ever. Especially when you think about like, because Last Jedi, that's also when she does the Mary Poppins, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first thing you see is disappointment, led up by disappointment, and then ends with disappointment.
Dude, I've never told you about that when I went to go see Last Jedi.
What's up?
Okay, me, Jamie, Rachel, somebody, and we met this random dude in line.
And he's like, "Hey, I'll come watch it with you guys."
Yeah, he was like, "I need a friend," like so we were like, "You come watch it with us, right?"
Yeah, we'll take care of you.
We get into the movie theater and we're all like sitting down, and I'm this is like reverence for me, right? So I'm like sitting there and I'm like genuinely like trying to watch it, and it gets to the Mary Poppins scene, and she starts floating, and we're like, "What the fuck?" Right? And our like adopted friend over here to my left goes, "What the fuck is this bullshit?" Right? And somebody stands up in the row in front of us, thinks I said it, and he was like, "You son of a bitch, I'll kill you." That's
what the fuck?
Yeah. That's Carrie Fisher. She died, right? And then like starts like chastising me in front of it. And I was like, that was him. Leave me alone.
That guy's already disappeared from your row. He's gone.
Yeah. He's like, man, what a fucking asshole.
I don't fucking know these people. I just happen to have this assigned seat, dick.
Yeah.
Like, dude, man, I just know when the theater I was in was, I think we were all same mindset when that scene happened, because I think it got to a light boo. Everybody was like, no, why?
Yeah.
Like, and don't get me wrong, that specific what's it called? It's like a force levitation type thing, or
push pull,
whatever. Sure. It's in the lore.
Force accio.
Yeah, it's in the lore. It's not. I don't think it's in canon lore anymore, though. It's in EU Legends stuff. That can be done.
I don't see why I couldn't. It feels
right,
especially her.
To give it to a character who has never used the Force on screen ever. Now, granted, she probably was Force sensitive to some degree. Now, obviously, we know she is
in books. We've seen it in books, but not on screen.
But never canon and never on screen. And it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, that's Luke's sister. She's the daughter of Anakin Skywalker. Yeah. She has to have, to some degree, a midichlorian count that's higher than the typical person, you would think. And she probably is a Force user to some degree. But if you're never going to show that, why are you going to show it now when she's like 70?
One thing I think is kind of cool, and I'm not trying to nerd out too much or whatever, but in the series or the book Bloodline, I believe that's what it's called. The one that was specifically like set in the newer shit, like closer to the First Order and everything. And it was about Leia. And this is like Han has gone off and he's being like an absentee father and shit. There's this really cool moment where she's talking about the training and stuff. And she just kind of briefly mentions it, but then references the fact that she's so much like Anakin's daughter that she's like, I didn't fuck with it.
So she took a role to not do it because she was like, I don't want to be my father.
Right. She's like,
Yeah.
I would become like a dictator. I would like end up going down a darker path, like if I stayed with it. So like, I didn't.
She's like, they put me in that fucking slave bikini. Now my time to strike.
Kill him. Yeah. That scene would have been so much different if she was just like,
Choking everybody around her.
yeah, all of them.
Yeah. Oh man, James, did you have any more to go over from the episode?
You know what? I don't even remember.
You don't remember?
Get them notes out.
Get them.
Yeah, let me
notes
get my
out.
notes.
Dustin, did you have anything to go over with the episode besides? Was that what your wrap it up point?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm trying to think if I have any like rants that I'm like suppressing, you know?
Yeah, it really grinds Dustin's gears.
Yeah, hold on. I got some gears to grind. Hold on.
I think my biggest thing was the senator thing. They made it obvious. They were trying not to be obvious, but it's still obvious that he's going to be like somehow connected with the Empire, because he was way too hard trying not to help out.
You almost feel like he's going to be a part.
Yeah.
I bet there's some book reference to the fact that this is like he's got a connection to the First Order or Operation Cinder or some shit. I probably missed it. I don't know.
Yeah. Or we find out now. Either one.
Yeah, true enough.
Yeah, because
why would you
why would you reveal that now?
It's Moff Gideon. He's wearing
He's like the mustache off, he turns black.
Yeah.
Wait.
Oh shit.
There can't be Ezra.
Why?
Because Ezra is Snoke.
No,
he got you.
I thought for a split fucking second you
That
were
he
going
had
to say
like
that's Gideon.
theory, right?
Yeah.
So the one thing that's crazy about this is do you guys understand where this falls timeline wise?
It's like
It's after season 2 of Mandalorian, but season 3 of Mandalorian has not happened. The events of that.
it's like 10 ABY, right? It's somewhere right around there.
Somewhere in there. But based off of what Star Wars, Disney, their timeline is season 3 of Mandalorian has not occurred yet.
Which means
Ahsoka happens. This series is happening between season 2 and season 3 of Mandalorian, which means Moff Gideon technically is still alive at this time.
Yeah, but it also means that meeting hasn't happened of the Shadow Lords.
Council.
Yeah, the Shadow Council. So when somebody says something about Thrawn, he may be back by then already.
He may be back.
Yeah. He's back, as Jordan would say.
My boy. He's back. Voldemort's back. Such a ridiculous scene. I'll never, ever since I watched those guys talk about them on TikTok, I'll never be able to watch that scene again in the right way. Like it's only ever going to be that in my mind. All right, man. Well, I think we've gone over just about everything that we wanted to talk about with this episode. This is my to date favorite episode. What about you guys?
I think this is my favorite my favorite series so far.
I'm with both of y'all.
I like Mandalorian, but
I like a little bit of everything you guys are saying.
Ahsoka's my girl, man. She's my girl. It's probably one of my favorite figures that I own of it.
Kept that real close to him, didn't he?
Well, she fell during the thing.
Put it like right here. Like
she fell, and I gotta fix her stand and stuff. So, hey, but I do gotta give a quick shout out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got a fan on TikTok, Grimlock Smash. Yeah, at Grimlock Smash, dude does some excellent printing. Goes live just about every night with
is it printing 2D, 1D?
Oh
3D?
Yeah, sorry, 3D printing. Some cool stuff. He showed me a Green Ranger helmet he's working on. Real cool dude, and he's out there promoting this like crazy. So I'm returning the favor.
Yep. You want to say that name again though, but slower?
Grimlock Smash. So it's just like the Transformer.
Okay.
I was about to ask. Okay.
Yeah, it's his favorite Transformer. He goes by Grim, but his handle is Grimlock Smash.
Well, Grim, thank you for listening and taking the time out of your day, doing more important things than listening to our podcast. We really appreciate that, and you'll probably appreciate when we decide to tackle Transformers. So
yeah, and you can use our code Centerway Society that
stop.
gained 10%
Stop.
on your order.
Stop.
Dummy.
Anyway, without further ado, we have been the Centerway Society, guys. Thanks you again for listening to our reactions to Ahsoka episodes 3. It's been so mind-boggling so far with all the new lore, all the new stuff to talk about, and I cannot, and I'm sure all the guys would agree with me, cannot wait for more of this series.
God, Tuesday can't come quick enough.
I know it's almost like an obsession at this point, which I hope they don't let us down. Secret Invasion. Anyway, you can catch us on Facebook at Centerway Society. We are on YouTube at YouTube/Centerway Society. We are also on podcasting platforms. You have Amazon podcasts, Spotify podcasts, Apple podcasts, wherever you may be able to find a podcast. We are there. So give us a listen, give us a shout, let us know what you think. If we're doing bad, we'll try and be better. That's what anybody can. That's all we can ask for, right?
Or we can ignorantly keep doing the same thing we keep doing.
Kind of like Star Wars. But anyway, without further ado, thank you guys for listening.
You forgot TikTok, Jordan. We're on TikTok too.
We are also on TikTok.
Yeah.
I forget.
Watch, share videos.
It's brand new. TikTok. Is it TikTok Centerway Society?
I believe it's the Centerway Society. Centerway Society at TikTok.
Centerway Society TikTok. It's something in there. You'll find it.
And there's bears.
James is going to fight bears. But anyway, we are going to be logging off now, guys. Have a good night.
All right. See you.